Shalom, 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 Yasha Allah. This is Brother Yawanah.
But y'all would die.
All right, with the Flaming Fire Israel. I want to start off first and foremost, giving the course all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua. That's all honor, glory, and praises to the Most High God, who the world calls God, and the name is only begotten Son, who the world calls Jesus Christ. Finna go into this immaculate deception, is what we call it, right? Because these are some of the things that are stumbling blocks for our people, right? And they've been taught, and a lot of us so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans have been taught in what the white man's Christianity that Christ didn't have a actual earthly father, right? And that he just came out of a I guess it's really hard to break down Immaculate Conception. Brother, what is how do they break it down again? So how do they break it down?
They think he was born of a virgin.
Yeah,
the Lord was just planted Christ in him.
Yeah,
and
I guess through an angel, right?
No.
Is it how did he?
He just put a seed in the woman.
He just put a seed in the woman.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go through because the Lord lives angels, so I want to see how do you go about putting a seed in the woman.
Yeah.
But
that's what they believe.
It's basically the understanding on Immaculate Conception. Right now, we're finna go through the Bible. We're gonna go into the Greek. We're gonna go into the Hebrew. We're gonna go into what these words mean. We're gonna go into and we're gonna get the official understanding. That said the Lord. So, let me get my Bible real quick. My Bible all the way over here.
Change. You get when you gotta change 3 glasses. Everybody reaching around, man.
So we back. So we're finna go into the Immaculate Conception and what we call the Immaculate Deception, because the Bible is very clear who is the earthly father of Christ. We know the Most High is ultimately his father, but the Bible is explicitly, right, without a doubt, clear who Christ's earthly father was, him being from the seed of David, of course. So let's go into it. And I'm gonna screen share the first scripture. Happy New Moon, Israel, through the Spirit. Don't want to forget that. But Happy New Moon. Shalom to the 12 tribes scattered abroad.
Yeah.
Now let's share the screen here. Okay, we're gonna jump right into it. Okay. So Isaiah 7:14, right? This is the prophecy of Christ coming, right? And we got to understand, let me put this on the full screen. We got to understand what this means, right? Because what you got to understand, the whole thing of Christ coming is prophetic. Nothing just happened out of nowhere. These things were prophesied in the Bible. So with the prophecy of Christ, well, there's many prophecies of Christ coming, right? But the one we're speaking about versions, right, is in Isaiah the 7th chapter in the 14th verse. So us as living up in this Western society in America, we have a Western idea of what we think a virgin to be, right? Most people that's living on this side of the earth, right, can see think that a virgin is talking about someone that hasn't had sex, right? But when you deal with the Hebrew, when you deal with us as a people, and when you deal with the Greek and the Hebrew, and you go into what our people and our lifestyle and the way we live and how we use the word virgin, Lord willing, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the Israelites of the Bible, is edified to get the understanding behind this word virgin. And that virgin doesn't mean that you haven't had sex with someone like we think about in this Western society. So let me pull this to the side, right? Now Isaiah 7:14, it says, "Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel," right? Emmanuel meaning God is with us. If I'm not tripping. Yeah. God is with us. God like mighty one, mighty men. Right. So let's go back, right? And let's go to the word virgin here, right? And you see here the word virgin is not the same version of what you've been thinking, right? A virgin is a young woman, right, of marriageable age, right? And it says made right here or newly married. That's the secondary definition. Not saying that you can't use the secondary definition, but more according to what it is a young woman of marriageable age, right? So that's what we got to understand is that the prophecy when Isaiah bringing is showing that a virgin is gonna bring forth the son is saying right here that virgin means a woman of marriageable age, right? So very different from what our society standpoint is of a virgin, right? So let's go into it. Before actually give me Matthew 1. Before we go into that, let me get this account right here. Right, and let's prove one more time. We go to Genesis chapter 24 and verse 16. And it says, and the damsel was very fair to look upon, a virgin, right? So a virgin right here is a young marriageable woman, right? Neither had any man known her. So you're saying that it's a difference between being a virgin, right, and having a man know you. Because you can be a young marriageable age woman, right? But that's not the meaning of a virgin is a man knowing her, because you can see the separation here in Genesis 24:16 with Abraham, right? And it says, and she went down to the well and filled her pitcher and came up, right? Let's go right here. It should be out where where I don't want to. Salakia, not Abraham, but Isaac. Salakia. I wanted to get the account when he laid with her, but we'll get it before the end. So you see here, in Matthew 24 and 16, that there's a separation between virgin and a man knowing her. A man knowing her, meaning that she hasn't had sex or a man hasn't dealt with her on that level. So let's bring out the scriptures and let's get Matthew 1 and let's go to go back on the screen real quick. Salakia. All right, let me get back on this. All right, stop sharing. Okay, we're back on the screen. Should be. Okay, so let's go into it. Give me Matthew chapter 1, and let's start at the genealogy of Christ, right? And it will be Matthew 1, and let's start at
18.
Yeah, let's start when it goes into Christ. Now you can read all these names for yourselves, but for the sake of time, we're not just gonna read the whole genealogy. We actually start at 16 because we're gonna deal with every major point that Christians, when I say Christians, members of Christianity, will go to try to justify Immaculate Conception. Now let's read verse 16. If you're not familiar with 1 through 16, is breaking down the genealogy of Christ, right? All the way from Abraham to Christ. Now let's get verse 16.
Matthew chapter 1, verse 16.
Right.
And Jacob begotten Joseph, the husband of Mary,
right,
of whom was born Jesus, who is called the Christ.
Right. So one of the major things in this, right, is that you see here, it says, and Jacob begot Joseph. I'm gonna pull it up on the screen share real quick. Matthew 1. Let me pull it up on the screen share real quick so that everyone can see it. Matthew 1. Okay. All right, so you see here the genealogies of Christ going all the way down to verse 16. And it says, and Jacob begot Joseph, the husband of Mary, right, of whom was born Jesus, who is called Christ. So one of the major things that Christians will try to say is that they read verse 16 and it says, and Jacob begot Joseph, right? And all throughout it is saying begot, right? Begot, right? But then when it gets here, it says, and Jacob begot Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Christ. Now, a lot of Christians, they try to justify saying, well, it didn't say begot here. It didn't say Joseph begot Christ or begot Yahushua, right? But once you go into the Greek, you understand exactly that this word right here was born. When you see this word was born, let's go into what it is. Let's get into what it means, right? Now, look at this. It says, of men who fathered children, right? So this isn't talking about Mary bringing forth the child by herself, right? Or having the Most High implanted seed without a man bringing forth seed within her. It's saying of men who father children, to be born, to be begotten. It's right here. The begotten's right here, right? So people gotta understand that, right? You cannot go and just because it doesn't have the word in the English that you just say, oh, well, it doesn't say begot right there. But when you go into it, you see that it's meaning the same exact thing, right? That it's not just, winging it. So that's what born means right there. Was born Jesus, born Yahushua. That means begot Yahushua, right? And it says a father, a mother can't begot a child, right? A mother can't begot because this is father line, right? And that's why you see the definition is coming from a father. Now let's read verse 17.
Verse 17, Matthew chapter 1, verse 17.
Right.
So all the generation from Abraham to David are 14 generations. And from David until carrying away unto Babylon are 14 generations.
Right.
And from the carrying unto Babylon unto Christ are 14 generations.
Right.
Verse 18. Now the birth of Jesus Christ was on this wise, when as his mother Mary was espoused to Joseph.
Right.
Before they came together.
Right.
She was found with child of the Holy Ghost.
Now this is another thing, right? See, we're gonna break down every single stronghold, right? So it's saying here in verse 18? Mm-hmm. Verse 18, it says, now the birth of Christ was on the wise, birth of Hamashiach Yahushua, when as his mother Mary was espoused to Joseph. Now let's see what this word espouse means, right? Right, espouse right here, right? And it says to woo her and ask her in marriage, to be promised in marriage, be betrothed, right? So she was promised to marriage, right? And it says right here, let's get to the point. Before they came together. So a lot of Christians they'll see right here, before they came together, and they're thinking, well, before they came together, that means that, well, he had the child before they even came together whatsoever, right? And we're going to see what that means. Let's go into before it came together, right? And it says to come together to assemble, right? Of conjugal cohabitation. Now let's go into what conjugal means, right? Conjugal, relating to marriage or the relationship of a married couple, right? So they've already showed you that they have a promise to marriage, right? And in cohabitation, right? To live together as if married, right? Usually without legal or religious sanction. To live together in an intimate relationship, to dwell with one another or share the same place as different species, that's sort of going off, but it says to dwell together or share the same place, right? Even when you're in school, you learn about cohabitation, right? So they haven't came together to share the same place yet. That's all that means, right? It doesn't mean that, oh, he never had sex with her, and we're going to prove that, right? We're going to prove that he had sex with Mary, right? We're just going into the Greek and the Hebrew to start off, right? So, I want to get verse 19 real quick.
Matthew chapter 1, verse 19.
Right.
Then Joseph, her husband,
what does it say?
Then Joseph, her husband.
So this is telling you that At this time, they were husband and wife. Now, what biblically makes you a husband and wife? Let's go to it. Hold on, it's got some crazy stuff going on to it. Let's go to what biblically makes you a husband and wife. Let's go into Google. Select it. Bear with me. All right, so let's go to Genesis 24 and 67. And we're going to show this on the screen too. Then we're going to go back to the regular screen. All right, so Genesis 24 and 67. And it says, and Isaac brought her into her mother Sarah's tent and took Rebekah, and she became his wife, right? And he loved her, and Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. So what made them become wife? When he took her into when Isaac took Rebekah into the tent and laid with her, right? That's when they became wife. That's when she became his wife, right? So we see here biblically that right here she's saying that the scriptures are saying that Joseph is her husband. How did he become her husband? Because they were together, right? And they laid together. And this is going to be just the beginning of a lot of things that's going to prove this. And we can even go, let's get 2 Samuel real quick. We're going to go back to the, give me 2 Samuel 11 and 27. We're going to go back to the stop sharing. So give me 2 Samuel 11 and 27.
2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 27. And when the morning was past.
And get verse 26 for context. Lock it.
2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 26.
Right.
And when the wife of Uriah heard that Uriah, her husband, was dead, she mourned for her husband.
Right.
And when the morning was past, David sent and fetched her to his house. Right. And she became his wife.
And she became what?
And she became his wife.
Can you read?
And bare him a son.
How did she become his wife? When he fetched her into his house and he laid with her. That's how she became his wife. Right? So you got to understand that in the ancient days, we didn't need a letter from Esau to tell us that we were married. Right? Once you laid with that woman, that became, you endowed her to be a wife. Let me show you that precept too. Is that it on that?
Yeah.
All right. Let me get this real quick. Yeah, give me Exodus 22 and 16.
Exodus chapter 22, verse 16.
Right.
And if a man entice a maid,
right,
that is not betrothed, and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife.
So you have to surely do that, right? You have to surely make her your wife, because the act of sex, the acts of laying down with a woman is making her your wife, right? And that's what we got to understand. We got to get out of our Western society world where we think that we need a letter and a pastor to justify your marriage, right? But what we got to understand is, and we finna go back to Matthew, we finna understand is what they were going through, right? What exactly happened? Because you see right here, Joseph is her husband. If he's her husband, then she's his wife, right? And that means they've laid together without even going into all this the emphatical proof we finna pull up, right? You see already that is his husband. That is her husband. So Khan, now keep reading. Go back to Matthew 1, where we left off. I believe we left off at verse 19.
Matthew chapter 1, verse 19.
Right.
And then Joseph, her husband, began being a just man and not willing to make her a public example, was minded To put her away privately.
Yeah, so he put her away privately, right? So this means they took counsel. I mean, they tried to conceal their pregnancy, right? Because they had not yet had a public marriage. They had not yet come together, right? Like we were just reading, they had not yet had a conjugal cohabitation, right? Just like today, if you have sex without having a marriage, it's sort of frowned upon, right? And especially within our people, right? If you have a children, those same things was in the ancient days, man. That doesn't mean that wasn't his she wasn't his husband, right? It just means that they have not yet had a conjugal cohabitation. They have not lived together, had their own setup in their own house, and had their own came together in the sight of men, right? But they already came together in the sight of God, right? Which shows you that that it wasn't, they sort of went against our customs, right? As Israel had it, right? But they didn't go against the laws, right? So that's why he put her away privily. He sort of, well, I don't want everyone to know yet, right? Because look, if everyone knows and we ain't really came together, we haven't been married in front of everyone, they're gonna frown upon us, right? And people, like in the ancient days, our people, they cared about their standard, right? They cared about their name, right? So give verse 20.
Matthew chapter 1, verse 20. But while he thought on these things, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a dream, saying, Joseph, thou son of David, fear not to take unto thee Mary thy wife,
right?
For that which is conceived in her is of the Holy Ghost.
Right. So keep in mind that Christ is of the seed of David, right? Keep reading.
And she bring forth a son.
She shall
bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Jesus.
Right.
For he shall save his people from their sins.
Right.
Verse 22. Now all this was done that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, Behold, a virgin shall be with child.
Right. So what we see here in Matthew 1 is a fulfillment of what we read in Isaiah 7 and 14. Right. So we definitely gonna go with the Hebrew, right? Our language and what a virgin means, because this was the prophecy, and they're backing it up right here, showing you that the prophecy was fulfilled from Isaiah, the 7th chapter and the 14th verse. Right? Keep reading.
Behold, a virgin shall be with child, and she shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel.
Right.
Which being interpreted is God with us.
Right.
Then Joseph, being raised from sleep, did as the angel of the Lord had bidden him.
Right.
And took unto him his wife, and knew her not till she had brought forth her firstborn son, and he called his name Jesus.
Right. So this is another major point that Christians gonna go to. They're gonna say, look, and knew her not until she had brought forth her first son, and he called his name Yahweh. Now we know and knew her based on the last scriptures is making her your wife, right? Or going into her, because we know going into her is the state of making her your wife. Now let's go into what Matthew 1 and 25. We're gonna pull it back up what it's saying to prove that it's talking about making her your wife. Let's go to let's pull this up on Safari. Google Salakia. Switch it back. Bear with me, Israel. All right. So we got here Matthew 1 and 25, and we go to and knew her, right? So let's go to knew, right? And what this means right here, knew. We go to this right here is the definition right here. The Jewish idiom for sexual intercourse between a man and woman, which shows you when we was reading, and he knew her when we was talking about the scriptures that we brought in the so-called Old Testament. Knowing someone is having actual sex with them, right? So let's go back to the text and read it like it's supposed to be read, right? So this is talking about having sex, right? Now it says, and knew her not till she had brought forth her firstborn son, and he called his name Yahushua. Now, knew her means having sex, right? So they didn't have sex till she had brought forth her firstborn son, and he called his name Yahushua, right? So all this means is the first time that they had sex, they brought forth Yahushua. That's all it means. It doesn't mean they did what Christians might try to portray it as, right? That he just found out that she had Yahushua. No, it's meaning that the first time they had sex, they brought forth Yahushua. That's all. He didn't have sex with her any time before until the very first time they had sex, and it brought forth Yahushua. That's what it means, right? So you gotta understand that. You gotta read into the text, right? So I'm gonna tell you again and state it again. The first time that they laid down with each other, it wasn't the second or third time that they laid down with each other that they had a child. The first time that they laid down with each other, they brought the Most High had it set up where Yahushua was brought forth, right, to fulfill prophecy, right? So that's what that verse means, right? It doesn't mean what the Christians might try to portray it as meaning, but it means that the first time that they had sex is the first time she got pregnant, the first time they had sex, and brought forth her firstborn son named Yahushua. Now let's go back. I want to get one of the scriptures in Luke, but it's basically saying the same thing about it's basically saying the same thing, but I'm gonna get it just for edification purposes. So let's get Luke. I believe it's Luke 2. I believe Luke 2. And I think Luke 2 has got to be Luke 1. So like, let me find. It might be Luke 2. I'm trying to find it. It's the same prophecy. Talking about a version.
30.
So again, is it 30?
27. We started 27.
No, it ain't in it. Oh boy, it was.
$31.
2 and 31.
1.
2 and 31.
Chapter 1.
Oh, chapter 1. Oh, Salakia. I'm in the wrong chapter. That's why I'm tripping, man. I know I should have been in. Yeah, look, right. Yeah, Luke 1 and 31. Bring it out.
Luke 1 and verse 31. And behold, there shall conceive in their womb and bring forth a son, and shall call his name Jesus. He shall be great and shall be called the son of the highest.
Well, no, verse 27.
Yeah.
That's what I want. So like in verse 22nd. It's basically saying the same thing, but just bring it out.
Chapter 1, verse 27.
Right.
To a virgin espoused to a man whose name was Joseph.
Right.
Of the house of David.
Right.
And the virgin's name was Mary.
Right.
And the angel came into her and said, Hail, there are highly favored.
Right.
The Lord is with thee. Blessed are thou among women. So
let's go to virgin here, right? In Luke 1. And it says a marriageable maiden, right? A virgin, right? And now you see here the other definitions, a woman who has never had sexual intercourse, but we know that it's not so based on Isaiah 7 and 14, right? And it even says the same thing back in Matthew. If we go back here, let's go to the word virgin in Matthew, and we see here that's the same word. Let's play that out.
Strong's G 3933. Parthenos.
Parthenos, right? So it says a virgin, a marriageable maiden. So she's a marriageable maiden, right? And you know they got other definitions, but we know that this definition is a solid one based off the Hebrew. So let's go to Let's go back to Matthew. I think we read all of Matthew, right? And we're gonna break it down. We're gonna bring it back into the regular camera again through the Spirit. And let's get it. Let's get on to it. Give me Matthew 13 and 55. Right? We're gonna break it down through the Spirit and power Yahweh Shem Yahushua. We're casting down all the lies, all the deception. Matthew 13 and 55.
Matthew chapter 13, verse 55.
Right?
Is not this the carpenter's son?
Right?
Is not his mother called it Mary?
Right?
And his brethren James and Joseph?
Right?
And Simon.
Simon.
No.
Yeah. Cinnamon. Yeah.
And Simon and Judas.
Right?
And his sister, are they not all with us?
Right?
Whence there has this man all these things. And they.
So Matthew, did you read verse 50? It said it said Joseph. Matthew, read that again. What's that verse 55? Matthew 13 and 55. Did I skip a verse? Matthew 13 and 55. Yeah. It says it's not this the carpenter's son. You read it. Yeah. So the carpenter, who was the carpenter? It was Joseph, right? So they had an understanding knowing this was Joseph's son. Now, a lot of Christians, they're going to say, well, oh, man, I mean, they don't know. They didn't know how he was born. Well, let's go into it. We're finna go into it. We're finna break it down. Now, let's go back to this. I'm going to go back to this real quick and share the screen real quick on this. Romans 1 and 3. Because this is, got to go through this. Romans 1 and 3. And it says, concerning his son, right? Hamashiach Yahushua, Jesus Christ, our Lord, which was made of the seed of David according to the flesh. Now, find it very funny how Joseph was a son of David, right? Joseph was a descendant of David, right? And it says concerning his son, Yahushua, right? Hamashiach, our Lord, which was made of the seed. Let's go into what this word seed, man. Let's go into it. And it says, from which a plant germinates, we know that ain't it. The seed of a grain, we know that ain't it. Of the grains of kernel sown, we know that ain't it. Okay. A seed, i.e. residue of effusive oil reserved to the germ of the next. Oh, come on, we know that's not it. The semen, right? Virile, the product of the semen, seed, children, offspring, right? Family, tribe. It literally says sperma, right? It's from the sperm of David. That's what seed means, right? So we got to understand here is that he follows a direct lineage of David. Now, who was a descendant of David? Let's go back to what was that? Matthew what was that? Joseph. We just read it.
Matthew 13.
No, not that. I think it was Matthew 1. We wrote he was the son of David. Salakia.
Oh, okay. Matthew chapter 1, verse 16 to what's called. Yeah.
It's a better one I got though. Yeah, give me Luke 1 and 27. We just read it. Luke 1 and 27. Salakia, go back to Luke 1 and 27.
All right. And 27?
Yeah, Luke 1 and 27.
Yeah. Okay, Luke 1, chapter 1. Luke chapter 1, verse 27.
Right.
To a virgin, espoused to a man whose name was Joseph.
Right.
Of the house of David.
Of the what?
Of the house of David.
What was he of?
Of the house of David.
So he was of the house of David. What does this say right here? Let's go back to it. Of the house of David, it says the product of the semen, seed, children, offspring, progeny, so like a family, tribe. That's what a house means. Your family, your tribe, right? So he's from the house of David, right? So come on now. You gotta be real with yourself, right? It's from the sperm of David, right? How was the sperm of David implemented or put into Mary? It was from Joseph. You gotta understand that, right? And we got to be real. We got to go into the scriptures. Let's go into this real quick. Hebrews 2:16. Because Christ, this immaculate conception is against everything in the Bible, right? It's against how the Most High set it up. It's against it. It's just period. It's against it, right? Because the Lord set up Yahushua coming into the world a certain way, right? He didn't just wing it. He wanted Yahushua to be there, and he wanted him to be a certain way, right? So let's get Hebrews 2:16.
Hebrews chapter 2, verse 16.
Right?
For verily, he took not on him the nature of angels. The nature of angels.
Right. So Christ didn't take the nature of angels, man. Right? He wasn't supposed to be some crazy immaculate conception. The only person without an actual carnal father. That would be crazy. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that? That's crazy, man. Right? And it's ridiculous, right? Not saying the Most High couldn't do it if he wanted to, but it's just not the way the Bible was set up. That's not the way the Lord wanted it to happen, right? And the next verse is finna prove it, right? He didn't want it to be, he wanted him to be just like his brethren, right? He didn't want him to be some dude that didn't have a father. If you didn't have a father, you're not like nobody else in the world. If you didn't have no earthly father, some actual father that put seed into your mother, you're not like anyone, right? That's crazy, right? Can you read?
But he took on him the seed of Abraham.
Right, so he took on him the seed of Abraham. Can you read?
Wherefore, in all things, it behooved him to be made like unto his brethren.
Right, so he wanted to be like his brethren, right? Can you read?
That he might be a merciful and faithful high priest.
Right, so he wanted to be just like his brethren, right? Yahushua, it was in the flesh, and he wanted to overcome everything. He wanted to be he wanted to live it and suffer through it and be an example, right? He didn't want to be this dude without no actual father and shot down into his mother somehow, right? The Most High set it up for him to be just like his brother, and we read that in Deuteronomy 18. Let's get that real quick, right? Because in Hebrews, this ain't just some just winging it, right? Paul just ain't winging it, right? But this is speaking of prophecy. Go to that in Deuteronomy 18:18.
Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 18.
All right.
I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto thee,
right?
And will put my words in his mouth,
right?
And he shall speak unto them all I shall command him.
So the point is, he said, from the midst of thy brethren, like unto thee, right? Like unto me. Let me read it again. The Lord thy God will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee. So it's going to be out of the midst of them, of thy brethren, like unto me, unto him ye shall hearken, right? So you see here that this is he's going to be like his brethren. He's going to be coming out of the midst of his brethren, right? He ain't going to be no somebody without an actual father, man. That's ridiculous, man. So Khan, it says he will raise up a prophet from among their brethren like unto thee, Salakia, like unto thee, and will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. Right, so he's gonna be like unto his brethren. How you like unto your brethren if you just came out of nowhere, man? Right? You know Israel ain't gonna believe that either. She said, you know Israel gonna be. She say somebody impregnated her. And they're not going for that, man. Nah, man. Come on, and the Most High know they wouldn't have went for that. Nah. Come on now, she would have been shamed. She would have been yeah. That's a horrible thing. Come on now, man. Go to Acts 3:22. Yeah, she sort of got shot down from the sky. No, man. No, that ain't going down in Israel. They're not going for it.
Acts chapter 3, verse 22.
Right.
For Moses truly said unto the fathers, a prophet shall the Lord your God raise up unto you of your brethren.
Right.
like unto me.
You see the same thing, right, Kiri?
Him shall you hear in all things whatsoever he shall say unto you.
Right. So you see him getting rose up, right? Like unto Salakia, raise up unto you of your brethren. He's gonna be like his brethren, right? So I mean, it's very explicit and very specific, man. So let's go to and really this should have all started at Matthew 1:15 when it said, look, he begot Joseph begot Yahushua. It told you straight up, man. Which, you know, people got these fairy tales, man. They wanted Yahushua to be something that the Most High didn't set him up to be. The Most High wanted him to be like unto his brethren. They didn't want him to have this crazy concept. He wanted to be like unto his brethren, right? And it's ridiculous that some of the things that these Christians come up with, man. So Khan, you see here, let me get this precept. I want to get one more precept with this. See if I can find it real quick. So I got a precept real quick I want to bring up. Yeah, give me John 7:42. John 7:42. John chapter 7 and verse 42.
John, right?
Yeah, John 7:42.
John chapter 7, verse 42. All right, here we go, my man. John chapter 7, verse 42.
All right.
Has not the scripture said that Christ cometh of the seed of David?
Of the what?
Of the seed of David.
Of the sperm of David. How is he from the sperm of David? And through Joseph, he read.
And out of the town of Bethlehem.
And out of the town of Bethlehem.
Where David was.
Where David was. Come on now. You know, and this is what happens when you actually read the Bible. We got to read the Bible. All right, we got to read it. We can't just bring in man's interpreted ways that you think sort of happen. You sort of winging it, man.
That's what happens when you don't go into it.
Exactly.
When you don't really search the scripture.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And if you don't really care about it, you're not going to go into it, man.
Yeah. Because I remember one pastor was just crazy, man.
Right.
God can't do anything. I said, well, you know, that's true.
Yeah, man.
But this you got to read it right. I mean, you just can't go by your own feelings. You got to go into it.
That's right, man.
And search it.
And you got to look who taught you about Immaculate Conception, too.
Exactly, because that's all you ever know.
All right.
And this been around for a long time, man. So this like really broke it down, you know?
That's right.
You never heard nothing like this before.
Exactly.
Like, man,
look at this. This is who you think. This is what they think happened, man. This is what they teaching, man.
Yeah.
Right. When you search up Immaculate Conception, they sort of think God came down a little bit and put a. It don't make no sense, man. It really don't make no sense. The angel came down. I don't know, because God uses this angel, man. Right.
Really, they saying she prayed about the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, I mean,
really
what Christ was of the Holy Spirit don't mean he was just because he was born of the Holy Spirit. He had the Holy Spirit. Don't mean that a spirit came into him that had sex with us and put the seed into his Mary. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
They teach you, man. It's all Catholicism, all Christianity, all madness, man. Same people that teach you that Christ is the Most High, right? They teaching you this madness, man. Right? It's just crazy statements, man. Crazy things, man. It's like I don't know what's coming up. It's crazy, out of the way nonsense. That if you got ears to hear and eyes to see, you can't fall for it, man. I read that Acts 2:30.
Acts chapter 2, verse 30.
Yeah.
Okay. Acts chapter 2, verse 30.
Right.
Therefore, being a prophet, and knowing that the Most High has sworn with an oath to him.
Right. This talking about David. Can you read?
That of the fruit of his loins.
The fruit of his loins. Now, what's the fruit of his loins? You don't have to be. You don't have to be a scholar to guess what the fruit of the loins is, man. Let's go to it. Let's pull it up. Let's pull it up on the screen share. Fruit of the loins. So we had in the screen share a lot tonight, man, because we want y'all to see the Hebrew. We want y'all to see the Greek. We want y'all to understand the words on these things, man.
What's up, Sister Baylor?
To the
Greenwood.
Okay, let's see here. Fruit of his loins. Right? Let's go to his loins. Loins means a place where the Hebrews thought the generative power semen resided. Right? When you hear loins, it's talking about where your semen resides. Right? And you gotta really get too deep in that. So let's go into the fruit. The fruit of one's loins. Progeny or posterity. What is the definition of progeny? Let's go into it, man. Hold on, let's get this real quick.
So yeah, man, we just break it down. I was
progeny. A descendant or the descendants of a person, animal, plant, offspring. So through the seed, the fruit of his seed, the fruit of his loins, right? He was gonna keep reading where we left off at.
Okay. According to the flesh.
According to the what?
According to the flesh.
No, according to some spirit coming and impregnating. According to what?
According to the flesh.
It's going to happen according to the flesh. The Lord's like, this is not going to be because the Lord, he set up everything, man. The Lord know exactly what people going to believe. He know what people going to, he know how the people are going to be deceived. He's the one that's deceiving them. Right? Keep reading.
He would raise up Christ to sit on his throne.
Right. So he rose up Christ out of the loins of David. The loins is the sperm, man. The same thing we was reading about in Romans 1:3, man. Right? So it ain't rocket science. What's crazy was rocket science. And this is why a lot of people don't believe in the Bible, man. This is why a lot of people, they don't believe in the Bible because they hear stuff like this, man. Right? They not saying the Most High couldn't do it, but they hear stuff that just doesn't make sense, man. Right? That just don't add up. You start talking about how it happened, your pastor sort of start shaking in his boots and he sort of you just got to believe the Lord can do anything. No, we got to go by what the scripture says, right? And the scripture saying that Hamashiach Yahushua will come out of the loins of David, the sperm, right? The seed of David through Joseph, right? Who was a descendant from the house of David, man, right? And that's what you got to understand. And Lord willing, you so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans can wake up and see it. The Lord reveal you, open up your eyes that you can see, man. Right, and open up your ears that you can hear. But like I say, the Lord broke it all down. Right, it's really, Matthew 1:15 in itself was really in game, right? Because it tells you the whole lineage of Christ, and after Joseph comes Christ. I mean, you can't get any better than that, right? Unless you want to add into the word and put a little sauce on it. So try to sort of say, the Lord put the spirit of the seed in there, and come on, man. Where the verses that say that, man? They take those virgin scriptures and they twist them, right? Without going into what we meant by virgin, what our people described a virgin, right? Which is just a young marriageable age woman. But with that, we finna get to this new moon. We finna feast, and get into the feasting for the new moon. You got any precepts you want to bring up before we leave out? With that, want to give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh by Hashem,
Yahweh
Yahushua. Hopefully, you brothers and sisters was edified. Look into the words, knowledge, and understanding. All the Greek and the Hebrew was up on the screen for you. You can look up those Strongs, look up those numbers, and look all throughout the Bible. I want to do that real quick before we leave. Salakia. Sort of about, I know we on the edge, sort of about to close out.
Yeah.
But I want to show this real quick.
Yeah, and on y'all Facebook page, y'all can go back to Flaming Fire of Israel on YouTube. And go back and check this the birth of Christ.
Right.
Was he born of a man, or was he just born of the spirit?
Right.
You know, some people say he didn't have a father. Joseph was his father.
Yes, so, Joseph was his stepfather. That's what they say.
Yeah, they say Joseph was his stepfather. But if you read into it and get into it, you'll notice that he's from the seed of David.
Right.
So a seed meaning sperm. You know, you just gotta, you gotta check into it.
Right.
Just like the deception that Christ is the Most High.
Right.
You gotta check into it.
It's crazy, man.
Just like Sunday is the Sabbath. You gotta check into it.
You gotta check into it.
You know what I'm saying? Just like people die and go to heaven, you gotta check into it.
Yeah.
All these things that people in hell, you check into it.
Yeah, man.
I'm saying nobody in hell.
Cause you see this version right here.
All
the same.
You gotta check into it.
I want to bring this out real quick. Lock you out.
Bring it up.
But that version in Genesis 24, they went in earlier in the Hebrew. And the damsel was very fair to look upon that version. You're seeing this used all throughout the Bible, and it's describing a young, marriageable age woman. I mean, that's what you got to understand. A damsel, that is a virgin, betrothed to her husband. A damsel, that's a virgin. You see here that this version is talking about a young, marriageable age woman. There's nothing new under the sun, man.
Yeah, you know.
The Lord even compares Israel to a virgin. In Babylon to a virgin, right? Which is a young, marriageable, beautiful woman. This is what you gotta understand. Hopefully, through the Spirit, you're able to grasp it and break down them those stumbling blocks that you've been told.
You know, the only way you can do that, you gotta check into it.
Right.
You gotta check into it because we have been fed so many lies.
So many lies. And even the maids is virgins, right?
We are the Gentiles.
And the maids.
That's the biggest conception. Man, we being those chosen people.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what the birth of Christ is like?
Yeah.
If they fool you with that.
Yeah.
Thinking you Gentile when you the royal priesthood.
Right.
Can you imagine how this whole Bible been flipped?
It has been flipped.
It's been flipped.
Right.
So yeah, so Yahushua was born had a father.
Yeah.
Joseph was his father.
You gotta deal with it, man.
You gotta deal with it.
And this is precept to go into what you're talking about. Proverbs 14 and 15. It says, "The simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his going."
That's right.
So look, the simple, they're gonna believe they're gonna believe what pastor said. They're gonna believe what everyone else say. But the prudent, what a prudent man is someone that's looking, someone that's paying attention, someone that's wise, someone that's not gonna be deceived because they're going into the scriptures and they're searching to see if those things are so.
And I'm man, that is so true.
It's true, man.
Because when I first, when the Lord first called me, he said all is called born free or chosen. I always follow the Spirit saying, check into it.
That's right.
Look it up and see what he's talking about.
Right.
And every time I looked it up, it would be something they would say. Right. That's what the Bible said. Well, why we ain't doing it?
Exactly.
I'm like, well,
well, it's sort of old time.
Why you want to sprinkle me when I'm supposed to be immersed? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, that's
supposed to be immersed in the water. They want to sprinkle and go away. They don't want to immerse you in the waters, man.
Man, I'm telling you, this journey I have been on ain't been nothing but the Most High brought me through it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't just settle for me and what he say. I'm gonna go ahead and check in right now on this Bible right now.
Word
for word. This is what what he say? That you should know the truth, and the truth shall what?
Set you free.
Set you free, man.
Yeah, it's gonna set you free from all the madness you've been taught. It's gonna set you free from all that craziness. Like I said, that's why a lot of people they don't grasp the Bible because a lot of these crazy things that these Christians came up with, man. Talking about God came down on the earth and lived 33. The Most High did not come down on the earth and live for 33 years, man. He sent his son, Yahweh. He said earth is his footstool, man. Right? The same way God, he didn't sort of put no seed into no woman that didn't have a husband, right? And sort of just implanted the seed. No, He set up as in prophecy that Christ is gonna come out of the seed of David, and Joseph was his father, man. And you gotta get with it, man. And if you don't get with it, you keep on holding on to those lies. Look, somebody gonna come up with you and know the definition of these English words that you misunderstand, right? And that's why hopefully Israel, they understand it and take heed to it, man. But you got anything else you want to put on that up?
Last thing I can say, man, we we've been called to cry loud for our people, and that's what we've been doing since the Most High given us the wisdom to do that.
Right.
So we encourage y'all to do what? Pick this thing up and read it.
That's right.
And guess what? And pray that the Lord give you understanding, because what we've been taught have been so backwards. We've been taught we the Gentiles
been deceived,
man.
Crafty counsel. Right? These are
that the devil actually, there was actually war in heaven. Can you imagine saying that God got to fight with his angels?
Yeah, God got a war in heaven. He implanting seed in women somehow, doing crazy stuff. Right? They want you to believe God is just out of order. God sort of took off from the world for a while and came down on earth for 33 years. That's madness, man. That's ridiculous, man. Right? But these are the things that you've been sort of brainwashed to believe, man. As long as you keep bringing in them couple dollars and putting it in the bucket, man.
Yeah, and that the devil can do whatever he wants to.
Yeah.
God don't have no control.
Yeah.
He do what he wants to when he wants to.
Yeah, right.
If you read very carefully, the devil only do what the Lord tell him to.
Exactly.
He can't do nothing.
Exactly.
Everybody work for the Lord, not against the Lord.
Come on, exactly. And they'll say, "Oh, God is all powerful." They think the coronavirus is of the devil. Yeah, you see all these fake Christian pastors, they praying that God take away look. God is the one that brought the coronavirus on the earth, man. Right. If it's even as crazy as y'all saying it is, man, I think a lot of y'all numbers. I think a lot of it's some BS. Yeah, but when the real deal comes, you're gonna see people falling to your left and your right, like the scriptures say. They're gonna be giving up the ghost, right?
You know, to remind me of when Donald Trump. One of my boy Deacon made a song say he prayed that when Donald Trump become president that the stock market crash. you know what I'm talking about, too, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, his prophecy came true. Whatever he prayed for came true. Because now Donald Trump talking about, I'm making America great again. Sound like the king of Babylon.
It sounds just like the king of Babylon.
But the Lord said, okay, I'm going to show you make America great.
Right.
I'm going to take it down.
You're going to destroy it.
Put your ass in captivity. Got you scratching that ball here, that wig here,
man.
scratching that wig.
Two-play.
Yeah, man. So the Lord does these things,
right,
to let you know who's in control.
That's right.
I'm in control. I create evil. I create good. I make peace. I make war. I create evil.
I the Lord do all these things,
and no man can deliver you from my hand.
No one.
So the Lord is in control.
So with that, Shalom Israel. We're gonna get to this.
Go all day,
Yeah, we're gonna get to this new moon feast. Shalom Israel, Kwam Yashala. Once again, when the end, I'm giving all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Shalom Israel.
Study your Bible.
Study. Happy new moon. Stay in the spirit and take heed of everything, man. And be prudent, right? And look well to your going.
Don't be afraid to ask any question.
Yeah. We got the email, flamingfireisrael@gmail.com. I always set up the email if you can't contact us in other ways. Right. So Shalom and Kwam Yashala.
Kwam Yashala.
Until next time, Lord willing.
Peace. Let's feast.